I have a very interesting video for you here, made by Cactus Puppy, our resident workshop genius. And he told me it was fine to react to it. But if you don't remember, back in season 5, there was the first ever workshop creator made game mode, and made a video about it. So I know like nothing about this department. I figured it might be a cool experience to kind of learn a little more about this type of or this part of the Overwatch scene that probably doesn't get nearly enough attention. So let's go.
With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve.
Hey, really quick, before you watch this intro, just keep in mind that this was originally intended to be released around August.
Wait. Minor spoiler warning for Horizon Forbidden West and Journey? I want to play those!
To be released around August 2023 and has long overshot that deadline, so yeah, on with the video.
It's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was
scraps, talent trees, and long-term progression scraps.
What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode, the talent trees, that long-term power progression.
Am I going to be in here?
It's not going to be the people we thought it was going to be. That the exact nature of it.
Flax when it comes to top 5
We didn't make it!
Flax when it comes to take mad out of metal and plastic.
How do I get left out of the Doomer arc?
So,
What the f?
awkward time to be making an Overwatch 2 video, huh?
I didn't react hard enough? What?
Would be even more awkward if I were somehow officially involved with the game. Oh.
I'm upset.
This video isn't meant to talk about the general state of Overwatch 2. If that's what you're looking for, then there are plenty of videos out there
Oh, no, there's one. There's one.
about that. I also won't be covering much of the technical details in this video because
That's nerd shit.
instead,
Wait, whatever happened to Flats Clips? Why did we ever stop uploading on that? Dude, we gotta bring that back. I know crap's too busy nowadays. Yo, who wants a job? Who wants to upload Flats Clips stuff?
I'd like to reflect on my experience making the first community-made Overwatch game mode, where I think I did a good job, and where I think I could have done better. To do that, we'll have to go back 2 months to April 2023, when Blizzard first brought the idea of making an official workshop game mode to me. When Blizzard first approached me with a contract...
No, unironically, I will make a post probably somewhat soon, because I probably need another editor, because we're starting to ramp up variety stuff, and that's going to really make things tough, so we probably need someone new. Although Chloe has become our resident variety editor recently, Chloe and Hubert, so it's just kind of like, where do we go from there?
To create an officially featured workshop game mode in early April, with a timeline to deliver in 1 month, I was unfortunately busy preparing for my graduate school finals. Once that was done eating up my time and energy, I was left with about 2 weeks to complete the project from start to finish. My deadline was pretty firm, however, because the Blizzard team needed time to integrate the mode into the game and produce promotional materials for Season 5, which, in fairness, looked pretty sick.
True, Season 5 looked pretty good. Like, it had like a good amount of stuff in it.
I mean, check out this clip from the trailer.
My ultimate is ready! I am unstoppable!
Anyways, aside from some general guidelines like making sure the mode was on theme, relatively short, safe for work, and something all Overwatch players could enjoy, while also preferably featuring some of the heroes that would be receiving skins, I had full creative freedom in terms of what the workshop mode.
That's very, very interesting. So wait, so it says preferably with heroes that get skins. Was that like an ask, or was it just because like you just wanted to try to, you know, make something good from them? Because that's very, very, very interesting. Honestly, don't remember. That makes sense. I respect that. It just, yeah, it's that is like I don't mean to be rude, but honestly, like no shit. Well, they do a good job of always including events having the new skins, and I think it's nice because one, it gives you a way to kind of see what they look like in game. Before we didn't have like a button for it, although now we do have a button for it, so it's like, you know, it's like, oh, before it kind of made sense, now it doesn't make as much sense. But it is really interesting, and this probably makes it like really difficult, especially like short time and theme and playable by all skill levels. Like, those are really difficult.
With the short amount of time I had to build a new game mode, I knew that making a PvE experience was unfortunately pretty much out of the question. It just wouldn't be feasible to create the basics of a game, program any kind of...
Am I crazy? I'm probably crazy for this. I feel like after they scrapped PvE, they should just release a workshop version of PvE and make people make their own PvE missions.
AI that just didn't stand
Yeah, it won't have cutscenes and whatnot, but like, give them the AI. Why not?
still, and debug everything to the point where I was reasonably confident it would work without issue in almost every circumstance. While some jank and crashing is understandable for one custom game lobby, any bug or crash potentially affecting thousands of arcade game instances would inevitably ruin many games and would definitely not help my relationship with the Blizzard team. For the general
Wait, was I covering that? I think I might have been covering that. Hang on, you gotta see this in real time.
Would definitely not help my relationship with the Blizzard team. For the general game design, I ended up with 3 proposals for Blizzard that I thought might work. The team ultimately ended up liking the
Orisa Jousting, Defend the Castle, and Legend of Reinhardt. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really interested in these two.
Legend of Reinhardt idea the best, so I got to work. First things first, I wanted to refine the foundation of the game mode a bit further now that I wasn't
pterodactyl?
searching for a broad premise. I began by thinking about what made some of my favorite video games that
No story spoilers here, minor spoilers for some early game mechanics and some late game weapons, not including story granted weapons. Okay, that's fine. That's
Horizon
fine. That's not that big a
feel
deal.
challenging, exciting, and most importantly,
I played
fun to
Horizon
play.
1.
For those unfamiliar, the Horizon games featured the player in the shoes of the character Aloy, battling powerful machines inspired by real animals. Combat in these games feels intimidating, not least because technically, these machines can move faster and hit harder than the player. That means if the player tries to just trade blow for blow in a direct fight, they're going to lose pretty convincingly, no matter their skill. Therefore, the player is tasked with using their mobility options at the right time to dodge attacks, or simply set up favorable engagements where the enemy is at a serious
This looks so good. I
disadvantage.
can't wait to play this one.
I figured this basic idea was a good foundation for my own mode, where Ryan would be the equivalent of the big bad machine, and the heroes would fill the role of Aloy, using their mobility options to overcome an enemy that was relentless, fast, and lethal.
I like that.
The need for mobility and/or other damage mitigation tactics made it easy to narrow down which heroes could be included as playable characters to face the Demon Lord. However, if you're paying attention, you may have noticed one big flaw. I based my ideal of what the mode should aim for, where the heroes avoid damage by using their mobility, on a game where the other side of the equation has no feelings. For a mode like this, there was just no way I was going to be able to have the Reinhardt be a bot capable of all of these things.
Pathfinding, target prioritization, avoiding
Within the
repetitive behavior, being challenging but fair for all skill levels, and recovering from unpredictable situations. This is pretty true. You know what's funny though? There's actually I don't know if it still exists. It probably does, but there used to be a bot. There was a Rhine bot that was like extremely difficult to beat. I only beat him once. And like they like kept upgrading him to be better and better. And it was actually kind of insane. So you can program AI in Overwatch to be like insanely good in certain instances.
Of the workshop,
But yeah, it would probably be difficult for most players.
The Demon Lord Reinhardt was going to have to be a player, and I needed to give that player their own fun. So to that end, I introduced the power-ups that you can find all around the map. These speed boosts were intended to give the Reinhardt a large advantage when chasing a hero who had an inherent advantage in the mobility department, and meanwhile, inspired by the ultimate charge packs in the Battle for Olympus event and the collectibles? Yeah, collectibles in Yeti Hunter, the orange orbs grant Reinhardt 20% ult charge.
Yeah, that was
create
always an
opportunities
interesting
to make
decision.
Decisions aside from just constantly chasing the heroes around. By
Wait,
encouraging Reinhardt to move
it's
between
me!
locations, I was hoping to discourage the Reinhardt player from camping in a corner while also granting the heroes opportunities to
what do you mean camping in a corner? Why are you showing me and camping in a corner?
breathe,
Wait,
regroup,
hold
and
up.
plan. Finally, outside of just the power-ups, I also wanted to ensure that Reinhardt's ultimate wasn't a complete dud against a group of heroes just capable of like rising up into the air on a pedal platform.
Same shirt? I'm traveling tomorrow, okay? I have to pack all my other shit, okay? Don't give me any f***ing shit.
Or wall riding around, or, you know, just straight up dashing up into the air. So, taking inspiration from the now scrapped PvE talent trees, I made the Earth Shatter
RIP.
area of effect a complete 360-degree sphere to combat the vertical mobility the heroes possessed.
I don't remember that.
Of course, there were many more decisions that went into making the mode, but skipping over all that, and with a basic prototype in hand, it was time to get some outside opinions. I gathered together a group of creators to playtest the mode, and we loaded up the game.
Blur.
And Reinhardt lost. Hard. He was simply getting outgunned and bullied by the heroes. There were also some characters who were clear favorites over the others for various reasons, including Orisa, who was able to essentially prevent Reinhardt from ever being able to do damage by cycling her cooldowns. On the other end of the spectrum was Genji, who was alright, but his ultimate was pretty lame against a target that could shrug off sword swipes and two-shot him at close range. I'll spare you the cycle of playtest, tweak, repeat, but here are some of the highlights of the changes I made.
Enabled Reinhardt's shield. Gave Genji more HP while using Dragon Blade to make him more effective at close range. Increased Orisa's javelin spin and energy
You know what? The Overwatch team should have took notes of this change alone and been like, yeah, we should put this in the actual game.
javelin cooldowns by 50% to provide windows of vulnerability to the Demon Lord. Gave Junker Queen and Genji the ability to slow Reinhardt with their bladed melee weapons as a reward for risking close proximity. Made Junker Queen and Lifeweaver move 30% faster to grant them more evasive potential.
With these tweaks, the game was starting to feel—
Wait, really? I didn't even know that those changes were in. I don't remember watching that video. Damn, that's crazy.
more like I had envisioned, with
Still, I think the 2-1. Xanthan, I think the 3 months.
Reinhardt being able to find moments of opportunity to attack, and the heroes all having some options to outmaneuver the Demon Lord's advances. After a few more rounds of playtesting and debugging, my deadline was mere hours away, so I uploaded my work at 10:18 p.m. on May 1st, messaged the team, and went to bed. Fast forward a month and a half to June 13th, and Season 5 finally arrived, making my mode available to the public.
Dun, dun,
After
dun.
2 weeks of evening and weekend work, and 1.5 months of waiting, with only a select few people knowing a workshop developer was making a game mode officially adopted by Blizzard, much less playing the mode, thousands, perhaps millions of people would be logging on to play and critique my work. How'd it turn out? Well...
That is awesome! Listen to my voice! Whoa, oh my god, he's just rolling! Oh!
Damn!
Look at him again! Oh my god! Damn! Oh! Out. Oh, a 5-man Earth Shatter, though. They're going to get the nano.
Yo,
oh my God.
W!
Victory.
For something that I had 2 weeks to ideate, develop, playtest, debug, balance, and ship, I'm pretty happy with how well it turned out. First and foremost,
good,
most people seem to think Reinhardt was enjoyable to play, even while...
I just played as the Demon King and it was really fun, not gonna lie. You just dominate. Not that it's in balance, it just feels like you dominate. I like being the boss. Ryan is ridiculously fun in that mode. My friend who's a total schizo Ryan main keeps playing it, says it lets her release years of pent-up Overwatch rage. Honestly, that one is probably the most spot on. It's like Yeti Hunter, but better. I'm surprised anyone sees potential in it at all. I almost fell asleep playing it. Playing as Demon Lord is so much fun. My God, playing as the Demon Lord is so much fun. And you know, honestly, I follow the same sentiment. And it really did make you feel like an actual tank.
While losing. On the other side, the heroes generally found Reinhardt to be a credible threat, requiring...
Even though Ryan is legitimately terrifying, our Lifeweaver was clutch and would bait his charge out in the open before rising up his pedal and pulling us to safety. This bitch scary.
them to utilize their movement abilities and brains to evade Reinhardt themselves, or assist allies in doing the same. Initial matches also tended to see Reinhardt either winning with only 1 life left or losing with less than 10 kills to win. The cat and mouse game between the teams led to some intense and satisfying moments where a hero would barely avoid the Demon Lord, or Reinhardt would finally track down and corner his prey. Of course, not everything was divine light and chromatic arcs. Sunshine and rainbows. It's time to address the elephant, or should I say horse, in the room.
Oh no.
Orisa. I originally introduced Orisa because she provided an alternative pick to Junker Queen, where I wanted Junker Queen to play as a hit-and-run skirmisher using her shout to maintain distancing from Reinhardt. I instead envisioned Orisa holding her ground temporarily with her cooldowns before either running away or falling to the Reinhardt. However, in practice, Orisa tended to be able to simply tank the Demon Lord and could even survive the Demon Lord during his post-ultimate buffs. So, what went wrong? Part of the reason is that Orisa and Junker Queen simply had more HP than I had intended. The bonus health from the tank health passive was enabled in the arcade due to the roll lock I had included, and I had not foreseen this and ran playtests with the tank roll passive bonus health disabled. While this certainly gave both characters much higher degree of survivability than I had anticipated, a larger reason why Orisa slipped through the cracks during playtesting was in part due to the limited number of playtesters I had at my disposal. I often ended up using bots to fill in for players during playtests when I couldn't summon a full lobby. In retrospect, this created blind spots in my playtesting and results because my game mode was limited by the behavior and capabilities of the bots. And just to be clear, in no way is this an attempt to blame Blizzard or anyone else. It was
What did that say?
This created blind spots in my playtesting and results because my game mode was limited by the behavior and
breaking local aimbot Lucio incapable of wall riding. Experts believe this is because Blizzard attempted to replicate the stupidity of Reddit Lucios everywhere. When asked to comment, aimbot Lucio... Wait. Aimbot Lucio said
and just to be clear, in no way is this an attempt to blame Blizzard or
told CNN, hashtag Lucio Mafia.
anyone else. It was simply an oversight on my part. As an example of how the bots skewed my analysis, since there's no Lifeweaver AI present in the bot selection menu, I did not get as many chances to see how often Lifeweaver could essentially negate one of Reinhardt's potential kills. In addition, while a full playtest did reveal that Orisa was a strong pick, in subsequent playtests, a 50% nerf on Orisa's Javelin-related cooldowns seemed to bring Orisa roughly in line in terms of balance and feel, though for various reasons, including a large skill variance in playtesters, this perceived balance was still a little off the mark.
Damn.
Going over every other thing I wish I had caught or could have added would take far too long, and this video is long enough as is, so here's a brief list of things that were either on the backlog or that I would address with the benefit of hindsight. A lack of a comeback mechanic, where the game mode subtly favors the side that is doing worse mid-match. This isn't as nefarious as you might think. For example, the payload moving from being near the attacker's spawn towards the defender's spawn in Escort is a comeback mechanic. If the attackers continue to do well, they will incur a penalty in the form of a longer run back time for themselves and a shorter run back time for their opponents. In the case of Defeat the Demon Lord, unfortunately there was no natural comeback mechanic, so matches could be decided well in advance of the actual victory.
I never thought about that.
Having a wider variety of maps for more potential replayability value, or more varied gameplay, or just focusing on one map. In retrospect, trying to include Eichenwald for the sake of including another medieval-esque map was a poor decision because it added many confounding factors in terms of engagement opportunities that
Okay, this one was way harder, but it was actually so much funnier. Like, because the other one, Ryan, was terrifying, but on this one, you could kind of just give Ryan the normal ranked experience.
Did not have a chance to playtest. A potentially controversial idea, giving Reinhardt ways to recover health such as lifesteal. For the Reinhardt player, this would encourage push-forward combat, but could also backfire by making it much harder for the heroes to win across varying player skill levels.
Yeah.
Finally, I wasn't personally very happy with how the game mode often forced Ryan to essentially run between power-ups to be a threat in some matchups. One of my stated goals was to threaten the heroes at all times, and while this sometimes was the case, in other situations, the Reinhardt could only
whatever, L tank for real, tank diff, meh.
Be threatening with ult, which was best obtained by running away from the heroes and collecting ultimate power-ups.
Yep.
Ultimately, I've come away from this amazing experience with 3 lessons. One, and I'm blatantly stealing from GameMaker's toolkit here, is Valve's motto of playtest early, playtest often. I'm no expert game designer, but in my opinion I got very lucky with how relatively well the balance and the feel of the game mode turned out with essentially 3 rounds of playtesting. Even with such a relatively simple game mode, there were so many possible points of failure. The unbalanced score to win could have been
I still think you did a really good job with it, though.
Right now.
Even if you feel like you got lucky.
The power-ups could have been under or overwhelming, and on top of all that, the vast range of potential player skill levels could affect how pretty much everything plays out. In future projects, I might not get so lucky, and unfortunately, the reality of game dev is that it can take some time to deploy and validate patches, as well as
heroes like Ryan 2 are so like 2-dimensional versus like 3-dimensional, like in a lot of other characters that have everything now. I feel like it's easier to balance a character like this as opposed to, you know,
realize
if you did the same thing with like Sigma, for example.
Or concepts are simply not worth the resources. Of course, that's not to say that any amount of playtesting can catch all the issues that inevitably arise, especially once a larger player base subjects the game to a veritable...
What? I didn't even know that happened. 573 hours of prop hunt. I actually can't wait for prop hunt to come back now that there's streamer mode. I might actually get to play prop hunt for real. That's going to end up actually being cool. If we assume that Demon Lord was played for even 1% of that time that prop hunt was played in Season 5, that's still over 5,700 hours of playtime. For reference, all playtesters combined logged at most 12 hours of playtesting. God damn.
Trial by fire. But playtesting can catch a lot of big issues that I was frankly very lucky to not encounter more of. 2. By focusing on an ideal vision of what the game mode would require, some players were alienated. Despite what you might think, I actually think this was the right move. As Sean Davies, technical director at Rare, said, if all you do is respond to feedback, you end up converging on a fairly middle-of-the-road game, and you don't end up with those moments of surprise and delight. In other words, trying to please everyone ensures that no one will actually enjoy the experience.
I feel like there's a really good lesson we could take there and apply it to Overwatch. Because there is a lot of things that people always hit you with the whataboutisms, and if I'm honest, I feel like I've kind of f***ed us in the long run, because we always get one good change or 2 or 3 good changes with one bad change, because there's a small minority of people that clamor for it, and it's like, ooh, yeah, f*** us all here, because if we all end the good path or one path,
I hope you're good flats.
it's 25 months. Obviously, good path is subjective, but
I don't mean to imply that I made a mode that is objectively great, but rather that by focusing on what I found fun, people who also found similar things fun seem to genuinely enjoy the mode, and that I personally feel this trade-off was worth it despite the numerous complaints from other players.
These are some of the negative ones, I think, right? I'm going to read these. I think the worst part about any game is when nothing is happening, especially during strategy. Like, sure, turtling against the enemy team bait strategy, but they were impatient and I knew that. Made plays to both counter and get the boost, despite how scattered it seemed since the boosts were near exits the enemy team wasn't watching. Now, what I do not like is that there's absolutely nothing one can do. That is probably the worst feeling one gets. Bro, am I talking to a monk? Why are you always... What? What are you saying? First off, I don't really understand what they're saying, but like, only one of us may swing at a time, and then one can swing and concede. It's like, okay, dude, I don't know what you're getting at here. I'm not gonna lie to you. For sure, that one match sort of shut me off to the mode altogether. I didn't want to play chicken for who'd get bored and come out faster. But Kiriko teleporting, Genji dashing, and Lifeweaver pedal platforming, and Junker Queen pulled, just LOL, I'd rather be playing something else at this point. But like, that doesn't even make... Okay. Killing the demon took too long and felt like a waste of time. His health is insane and completely unbalanced. Again, another one that like doesn't have much thought behind it. It's not really fully grammatically correct. It's kind of like, dude, I feel like I can't sit there take it. This is why dude, I get baited so easily. I can't take it, dude. I can't take when people are like so like objectively like in your face about why they think something is, but they don't have reasoning to back it up. And it's why I always get in a arguments with people if they talk about like balance or something stupid, because they never have an argument. They just say, just do this. And it's like, okay, well, doing that does like 19 other things. How are you going to fix all these things? And they just fix them. Like, oh, why didn't I think of that? I mean, Ryan Shatter in DTDL hits everybody. Even playing as Lifeweaver on a pedal, you get hit. 10 feet up on a ledge, you get hit. Behind the Rhine, you get hit. You fall off a ledge, get pushed, you die. Ryan loses 2,000 HP from his stupidly massive pool. Ryan charges you instantly, and he just ruffles your shirt on the way past. You catch fire. They buffed Ryan into a god and left everybody else to just run away or die. Be anywhere near Ryan and you die. You can only lose to a Ryan that doesn't play aggressively. If they're aggressive, you will lose. That's how just playing the game works, though. That's how Overwatch has always worked, 90% of the time. Well, ever since the DPS passive got implemented, not technically anymore, but this at this time was season 5, so that was technically still true. So it's like, well, if the player is better than me and makes the play first and I hesitate, they'll win. Yeah. That's how Overwatch works. Whether you think it's unbalanced or not, the game mode is really dumb AF. I don't know how they thought people would find this fun for more than 30 seconds. But then there's just no thoughts behind it. Why do you think it's not fun? Nothing. This mode is unfun with the current roster of heroes in balance. Sure. Between the lack of damage, lack of shield break, and the maps themselves forcing a game of weird hide and seek, it's not entertaining at all. I understand that due to the 4v1 situation, the demon needs to be OP to even out the numbers advantage. That said, this feels out of whack in a way that doesn't make sense and is hard to articulate. The demon should be hard to kill, but it shouldn't feel impossible. The heroes should be squishier to encourage cooperative play, but they shouldn't fall over to a fire strike while being spam healed. Yeah, but by that logic, though, if you just start spam healing somebody and you can't kill through it, then they can't actually take advantage of the fact that they're 1v4. So that argument doesn't make sense. If they're being spam healed and they're right on top of them, you should still cut through it and kill them. Like, one hit, maybe they survive. Right? So, like, it doesn't make sense. That mode has good potential, but it needs some reconsideration regarding balance. Yeah, but, like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, it probably could be better. And I'm not trying to just, like, hard defend the game mode. I'm more applying this to, like, almost, like, every Overwatch argument type of thing. And it's, like, not really. Like, your logic doesn't even make sense. Because you're like, they should be killing things, but not unkillable. But then if I'm healing somebody, they shouldn't die. And it's like, huh? You know, this is also season 5 when support was giga OP, so this just might be some support player that's usually just pocking somebody and they never die. Lifeweaver and Kiriko should not be both present. I keep getting 27, 28, and 3 as Rhine. Win nearly every time as heroes. It's so boring. This isn't fun at all. So this one directly is against it. So this person over here says that the Rhine is unkillable, and if they play aggressive, they can't lose. And then this person over here says I can't win a game because the heroes are too strong. So it's like almost like they could, like, you could stick them in a room together and they could look at each other and they can point at each other and go, skill diff. No, you're wrong. Skill diff. And it's like they would both technically be correct. Demon Lord mode is stupid. What a trash mode. It's near impossible to win as the heroes. You get one shot by nearly every move, and then the Demon Lord can get his ult almost every minute. Not only that, but the Demon Lord has plenty of buffs that make it near impossible to kill. On top of a stupid amount of health, he can inflict burning simply by charging around the map. His ult is a huge AoE that knocks everyone around them and buffs him by a ton, increasing his speed and damage. He shoots 3 fire slashes instead of the usual one, by the way. Classic. So the usual one, and these are immediately killing you, even if it touches the hair on your nutsack. The heroes need a buff. Anything will do. Rather than throwing a bunch of normal Overwatch characters specifically and an overpowered opponent that doesn't need a single brain cell to win, buff their ults, health, speed, anything to increase survivability, than expecting anyone to win with normal kits against someone stronger than 10 people combined. it's always like extremely exaggerated when, and it's like just buff everything. There's never a good articulated reason. It's like, okay, well, have you tried rotating around? Because it's like AoE. Like if you're getting hit by fire strikes all the time, you're probably playing against really good players. If you're playing against really good players, like how often do you play it? Because like eventually you're gonna play against someone who's like not that good. And it's wild, dude. It's kind of wild. So I sorry I paused for this one so long. I just always think it's super curious, because especially as a content creator, you understand that this is always going to happen. You know, no matter what you do, what you say, you'll either have like a very small minority of people that hate you / disagree with you and think you're stupid, or you'll have a large majority of people thinking you're stupid, and a very small minority thinking you're smart. It depends on what side you're on, I guess. And also depends on how big your audience is and whatnot. But yeah, this is actually a really good example of like why a lot of things in Overwatch frustrate me.
But did not find the
community-wise.
Finally, the last lesson I've learned from working on Defeat the Demon Lord isn't strictly related to game development or even engineering. Rather, it's that success is rarely, if ever, achieved alone. Even though I was the sole workshopper on this project, my path here was forged alongside Overwatch developers, workshoppers, creators, and players. The experiences and people I've connected with aren't the only things that define the time I've spent with the workshop, but they are a foundation that I have been fortunate enough to stand on to reach for the stars. Thanks for watching.
True. Wait. Oh, it's credits. I was gonna say, we still have a lot left. That was pretty good. That was pretty cool. Okay, there's probably just a lot of credits in here. I normally... As a precaution against adding the Demon Lord at too great of a disadvantage, I added a system that counted environmental eliminations as damage instead of a full kill, which turned out to be a bit of a good bit of foresight, as demonstrated here. However, some players found this mechanic was confusing and or not properly communicated, which I agree with. Oh man, that's funny. Okay, that was actually pretty good. That game mode was really fun. I hope they do more stuff like that in the future. But yeah, it was cool to hear your insight on what you learned, and it was really well done too. Really well done.